Yo, what is up, everybody? It is your boy Emrys here, back at it again with another video. Alright, today's video is going to be the second installment of something that I'm going to start calling as Movie Sundays, which is self-explanatory in its own name. I'm going to be doing a movie or full story, whatever y'all want to call it, every Sunday for at least a few upcoming weeks. So if y'all have any movie ideas that y'all would like me to do, put them down in the comment section below. But before we get into the video, as always, if y'all do enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if y'all are new. I'm trying to get to 4,000 by mid-June or the end of June. No matter what, I want to see if I can make it to 4,000 by the end of June. But if we could do that, please just show that support. If we can get to that 4,000, I will post every day for the entirety of July and maybe August. But for me to do August 2, we would need to hit closer to 4,500, which I'm not expecting y'all to be able to do. So we'll just aim for that 4,000 by the end of June. But yeah. Also, if y'all could check out that link in the description, check out the description period. Join the Discord if y'all want to have access to me, talk to me. If y'all are one of YouTubers, I can give y'all advice on anything that y'all might want or have questions about on YouTube. If y'all actually have a YouTube channel or want to make one, come talk to me. I'm free. I'll start being in my Discord VC more often than I am now, but just you could DM me either way. But yeah, also check out my YouTube membership if y'all can. My YouTube membership is you can guys, once the first person joins, as I've said before in a previous video, once the first person joins, I'll start doing self videos. Like I'll do videos for specifically YouTube members, and I'll even start doing where YouTube members actually get early access to videos. They get polls, they get so many different perks that I'll actually have to do a YouTube membership's own separate video for that, just so y'all know exactly what y'all have access to. But just go check that out if y'all have the money and y'all able to show the support. Please go check that out. And I don't know if I've said this, but if y'all can't tell, this is going to be what if Naruto had every tailed beast. I don't think I've done a Naruto what if on the channel yet, and if I have, that just completely yeeted out of my mind. But I don't think I've done one on the channel so far. If y'all do like this and want me to do more Naruto series, please tell me. Also, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Don't expect the video quality to be amazing, or at least the audio quality. Some has some problems. I've already recorded the entire video at this point, but I had some problems with it, so just leave that alone. But with all of that said and done, sorry for taking so long, but let's get into the video.
I gotta get me a bag, steady type of cash on my bro on that same shit. No, I don't fuck on no lame bitch, can't even fuck on the same shit. I heard your shit in the swag, that shit is so sad, put in work at that basement. I charge you double that payment.
To make this what if work, we're gonna say that Hashirama kept all of the tailed beasts, ensured that the Leaf Village was the strongest and no one would attack them. Okay, so now we have a huge time skip up into the Nine Tails attack. So for this attack, Obito still comes and tries and gets the Nine Tails extracted from Kuchina, and all of that still happens as in canon until Minato is about to seal the Nine Tails into Naruto. Before he does this, Hagoromo sees what's about to happen and comes down to help Naruto because he sees the possibility that Naruto's gonna get all of the tailed beasts into him. So he gives Naruto infinite amount of chakra to make sure that he stays alive, knowing that this was his son's reincarnate. So Minato and Kushina still die, but this time the first person to show up is Danzo, since there is no one that wants to take the tailed beast for this next generation, Danzo sees that the Nine Tails already is in Naruto, and he decides to put the rest of the tailed beasts into Naruto, hoping that he survives. After doing this, the tailed beast would see that they were all in the same body once again, and see that there was still a remnants of the Sage of Six Paths chakras. There's because he wanted to show that the tailed beast that he was there, and so they could calm down. Danzo would go to the Hokage and tell him that he sealed all of the tailed beasts into Naruto, and Hiruzen would be fine with this because they needed someone to put all of the tailed beasts in. He just wants to make sure that Naruto stays alive and stays safe. The tailed beast, knowing that Naruto was the next Sage of Six Paths, would all calm down and just wait until Naruto was able to speak, so they could speak to him and finally show themselves. Okay, now we do a time skip until Naruto is 3 and now just completely knows how to speak. So Naruto is getting attacked by the villagers, and he is getting like even more than Canon. He is getting completely punched and all kicked to the ground. So that night when Naruto goes home, he closes his eyes and the tailed beasts start calling to him, and he asks like a normal kid would asks where they are, and they just tell him to go deeper into his mind and he'll see them. So Naruto would just go deeper into his mind and find the gates where all of the tailed beasts were inside, and Naruto would ask, who are you?" to the tailed beasts, and they would all say that they are the reason why he has treated them so horribly in the village. Naruto would then ask, "If you're gonna be the reason that the villagers treat me so bad, can I at least know your name?" The tailed beasts would all become shocked by this because Naruto would be the first host, Jinchūriki, to ever ask for their name, and they would all give it to him. Chicago saying that the one tail saying that he's Shikaku, so on to Son Goku and Octopops and Kurama. They would all say their names, and Naruto would just say, "Since we now know each other, I'm gonna start coming in here more and more often to come talk to you and see how y'all are doing." Tailed Beast would be shocked that Naruto offered to start talking to them, and would ask if there was any chance that he could remove the seals, blocking them from, or keeping them in the cages. Naruto would say no, at least not until we have created a better bond and became at least friends, and I know that y'all won't do anything irrational. Even though Naruto is only 3, all of the experiences that he has had being beaten, and the third Hokage talking to Naruto, he would know that not to trust people or things until he gets to know them. Now we do another time skip until when Naruto is 4. And at this point he has been going into his mindscape almost every other day to check on the tailed beast and see how they were doing. he would have already expanded the cages and connected them. So it's just one big giant cage that all of the tailed beasts are sharing, that has mountains, grass, and it makes it comfortable for all the tailed beasts, since it is his mindscape and he can change it to whatever he wants. So at this point, Naruto would be getting attacked by a few Chunin and like a few Jonin. But then this is when the tailed beast would all say, Naruto, we have been around you for almost a year. Do you think you could let the seal off now? Naruto would say, I think so. Y'all have came close friends to me, and y'all have not ever did anything that would make me question your trust. So Naruto would take off the seal and let them all free. And after this, we would go back into the real worlds while Naruto's getting beaten, and then the Son Goku would take control of Naruto and start using his adept skill in taijutsu to start taking the Chunin out, eventually killing them, which will lead to Naruto's first two bodies. So Son Goku's taijutsu skill right now, since Naruto's still young, would be around Rock Lee with weights. And I know that this might sound a little overpowered, but Naruto is gonna be, and he's gonna have a lot of finesse, so just don't worry about that. So after the Naruto would take control of his body again after the four tails had taken the lives of the Chunin and Jonin, and Naruto would start walking home, and he would eventually see Hinata being attacked by the bullies. And all Naruto would do for this is, he didn't want to kill right now, so he would just go over to them and use a giant earth mud wall and just push them away, protecting Hinata, and that starts all of that. So he would, after she's okay, and she would say yeah, and then Naruto would start walking back to his house. So as he is walking, he would see Sasuke, and he would go try to say hi. I'm not seeing any harm, and they would start talking to each other, and Naruto would just ask him what he's doing out there, and they would start striking up a conversation, and just like become closer and closer friends as like time, like about hours went by. And then Sasuke would have to go home, and then Naruto would go his own way, and they would just say that they would meet up the next day to like keep talking with each other. So this would happen for like almost every day for about a year, and so Naruto's 5 now. And Sasuke would just ask Naruto if he wants to go to his house in the Uchiha compound, and Naruto would accept and go over to the Uchiha compound, meeting Fugaku, Mikoto, and Itachi. And Fugaku would seeing that the holder of all the tailed beasts was in the Uchiha compound, wouldn't actually do anything to hurt Naruto, knowing that he is a big asset to the Leaf. So Naruto and Sasuke would just start talking to each other again, and they would just go out and have some fun, and come back later in the night, and Naruto would just sleep over. So after this, we would have like another time skip until the start of the academy. And with this, on the first day, Naruto would walk into the academy seeing Sasuke all the way in the back, and everyone would say, "Ew, it's the demon fox." Well, it's the demon of the Leaf, and because all of their parents would have told them to stay away from Naruto. But then Sasuke would just ask Naruto to go sit over there with him, and Naruto they would just start talking with each other and just having fun during the class, but all of the other kids in the classroom would just ask Sasuke why he is with that demon, and Sasuke would just say that this kid that you're calling a demon has known me better and been a nicer person to me than any of you, and we have all known each other for a long time, so that's pretty sad. And Naruto would just thank Sasuke for saying all of that, and just go on with their day. A few weeks into the start of the academy, a new student would come to Konoha and join the academy along with the rest of the Naruto's class. This student would be Karin, and in this timeline, Orochimaru wouldn't get her, and she was just staying in the place that the Uzumakis were all killed, and just staying there for a while, and then she would come to the Leaf and to just grow and become a Konoichi. So as time would go on, Naruto would train the abilities of all of the tailed beasts so he could use them more easier without it taking any toll on his body. And he would learn how to use the wings from the 7 tails. He would also learn how to control sand from Shikaku, and he would have a very high sensory from Kurama, and he would be able to base a sense like half the Leaf Village at the age of 9. So after school, Naruto would say hi to Karin and just ask what her name was, and she would answer to him, her name is Karin Uzumaki, which Naruto would be shocked at, because and tell her that he was an Uzumaki too, and his name was Naruto. So those two would start talking, and then they would be closer friends since they were from the same clan. And Karin would just go to her house while Naruto would go with Sasuke to the Uchiha clan place. So Naruto would go inside and just sit down while Mikoto was making food. That's when Itachi and Shisui would walk in and see Naruto and Sasuke and just say like, "What's up?" and what are they all doing for the day? And they would just like talk everything out, and then they would Itachi and Shisui would leave to have another conversation. So the next day, Shisui would go to Itachi and tell him that Danzo was a traitor to the Leaf and he couldn't be trusted, and all of that. And then in this, Danzo wouldn't get Shisui's eye, and then so Shisui would take both of his eyes out and say, give one to Naruto and the other to Sasuke, because those two are probably going to be the only ones to help the village actually and take Danzo and any else other threat to the Leaf. So Shisui would still fall down the ravine and just die that way. And then, so when Naruto and Sasuke were done with school, they would talk to Karin and just like have a conversation while Hinata was just in the background. Naruto could sense her, but like he would just leave it alone for right now. So like they would just talk. Naruto and Karin and Sasuke would just talk to each other, and Naruto and Sasuke would just go to the Uchiha hideout, and that's when he would see they would see blood, and Naruto would just ask Kurama if he could sense any life, and Kurama would just say he could only sense Sasuke's family. Now, if you all have watched any other What Ifs, this part's gonna sound a little familiar to another What If YouTuber. I can't remember exactly which one, but like it will sound a little familiar. But so this is when Naruto and Sasuke would start running to Sasuke's house, and they would open the door, and this would be a little before, so a little earlier than Canon, so they would both see Itachi right in about to be in behind the Fukaku, and they would be still Fukaku and Itachi would still be talking. And then this is when Itachi would just see Naruto and Sasuke, but he would kill Fukaku and Mikoto. Well, he would kill Fukaku alone, and then Mikoto would put her under a strong genjutsu to keep her in place while he would talk to Naruto and Sasuke and tell them exactly what had happened and why he had done all of this. And so he would see that Sasuke would have her 3 Tomoe Sharingan activated, and he would put them under a genjutsu. We'll put Sasuke under a genjutsu and just activate his Amethyst in both of his eyes. And this is when Naruto would get one of Shisui's eyes, and he would also get and Itachi would, but in this Naruto would get one of Shisui's eyes and one of Sasuke's eyes, but like this was after Itachi had switched his eyes with Sasuke's. And before all of this, Naruto would just say that he could heal them all as soon as they switched eyes. So Itachi and Sasuke would switch eyes, and Naruto would heal them automatically from using. He would give Shisui's eye to Sasuke, and then give Naruto one of Sasuke's EMS and Shisui's EMS, and that's when Naruto would just heal himself up and then go to heal Sasuke. It's both of his EMSs to make sure that they were completely intact and in the right place. This is when Itachi would say that he would then have to go to join the Akatsuki to spy for the leaf. So Itachi would tell them that they would have to act like they needed to get revenge for the Uchiha, and so Itachi would leave after hugging Sasuke and Naruto, and then the next day Naruto and Sasuke would come in looking all emo and just emo lords. So they would walk in, and then the class would just ask Naruto and just say like, "What's wrong with you, demon demon beast?" And they would all ask like, did you lose someone in like a mean just way? And then Naruto would just say, yeah, and then they would just say, you probably deserved it. And that's when Naruto would release the bloodlust of all of the tailed beasts combined and just make the whole class shut up. And that's after that, Naruto would just get back to being quiet and just go for the day as normal. During all of this, Naruto would start talking to the Hokage more and more often, telling him that he has completely almost mastered all of the tailed beasts, because he doesn't want the Lord Third to try to put any of the different types of sealing jutsus onto Naruto. So he would just tell the Third that he has started to master all of the tailed beast's abilities, and Lord Third would just not believe him at first, but then Naruto would start using lava release, boiling release, magnet release, and then he would pop out his wings, and then the Third would have to believe him then, and then the Third would just say, Naruto would ask for some scrolls so he could since he does have infinite chakra, he would just ask for scrolls so he could try learning some jutsus. And the third would supply him with like some just easy scrolls that would have like the for easy scrolls for wind, and that's when Naruto would just learn like wind bullet and wind cyclone and a swirling tornado. Those are just a few random ones that I came up with. And then he would learn like the Gale Palm technique. He would ask Lord Third to just start supplying him with new scrolls every week, and then he would just walk out the Hokage building. After this, every week, Naruto would start going to Lord Third to see if he had any new scrolls for him. But what Lord Third didn't know that is Naruto was also going in late at nights after everyone was gone, and he would start copying off the scroll of ceiling in categorized by which chakra nature they were classified under. So Naruto would do this almost every week and just get a small amount of the scroll of ceiling done at a time. So by the time that the academy would be over, Naruto would have just completed the entire scroll of ceiling and mastered most of the jutsus in there. And so we get to the graduation. Naruto is in the top of the class and Sasuke is second, and then Karin's third. So yeah, Naruto would easily pass, and Mizuki would ask someone else to try to steal the scroll of ceiling. Naruto would hear about this and then just find the person who stole the scroll and just say that he got because Naruto would know that he got tricked, and then he would just take the scroll and he would see Mizuki and he would just create a shadow clone to take the actual scroll, and that he would just make the shadow clone run to the Hokage building, while Naruto would let the Five Tails take control, and then just let it kill Mitsuki. So that the next day, Iruka Sensei would come to the class and start saying what the teams were, and the teams would be Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, Karin, Shikamaru, and Sakura. So they would be the team like this because no matter what, Naruto and Sasuke would be paired together. And they put Hinata on the team because she also has the dojutsu that would help Sasuke. And since Naruto technically would have a dojutsu sense, he could just put Kurama's chakra into his eyes and have vision almost as good as the Sharingan. And he does have the EMS in both eyes. They would put those three together, and then they would put Karin in there too, since she has her Uzumaki chains, and they would just want to put her with Naruto, since they know that Naruto would probably not like her anywhere else, and he could really destroy the village if he got mad. And then they would put Shikamaru there, since he's his IQ, and then for strategies, and probably would be able to make sound strategies for the entire team. And then they would just have Sakura there to somewhat even it out, since she won't do anything and she's completely useless through almost the entire Naruto series. And I'm gonna stick by that. She does not do anything through this entire series. I don't know why she's even in Naruto to begin with. So everyone in the class would be confused on why Team 7 would be so big, but Orochimaru would just say orders from the higher ups. So every other team would leave, and then Naruto, knowing that Kakashi wasn't gonna be there for about another hour and a half due to his sensory abilities, it would just tell everyone else that he isn't gonna be there, and just leave a flying Raijin tag. Leave a flying Raijin just any weapon on the table, just telling Kakashi if once he gets there to just grab it and then throw it at a wall. So they would all leave and then just go get something to eat, and then once Kakashi got there, he would be confused on why no one was there, but then he would see the flying Raijin tag on the thing, and he would just throw it at a wall, following the instructions, and Naruto would just come back with the entire team. And then Kakashi, being surprised, would ask Naruto how he learned the flying Raijin, and he would just say, scroll the ceiling. And then Kakashi would just be like, how did he get his hands on that? He would just say, don't worry about that, he has his ways. So Kakashi would tell them to go up to the roof, that he wants to talk to them. So they would all go, and then Kakashi would ask them what's their goals and the likes and dislikes. Sasuke would say the exact same thing to make it seem like he was still wanting to get revenge for Itachi, even though he already knows why Itachi did everything. So he would just say, my goal is to kill a certain someone. My likes are hanging out with Naruto and Karin. And my dislikes are people that are completely useless. Looking at Sakura. And then Naruto would be next, and he would say, my goal is to become Hokage and be the strongest, to unite all of the villages together under one Kage. Being just like unite all of the villages and be respected by everyone because they know how strong I am. and how I will always be there to protect them. Next, Shikamaru, and he would just be like, I don't really have any goals, I just think that this is all a drag. Then Nato would go next, and she would just say, since in this she would be a little more bold, she would just say, my goal is to help the one that I care about, and she would say, for her dislikes are people that are useless and don't really have a goal to. And then she would say, but my likes are. She would just blush a little bit and then say, my likes are Naruto. Sasuke just being like, ooh, Naruto, you got an admirer, and then Naruto would just hit Sasuke in the arm and just say, shut up. And then Karin would be next, and she would say, my goal is to repopulate the Uzumaki clans after they were all wiped out. She would say her dislikes are just not being able to protect the people that she cares about, and her likes are, she would also say in Naruto. And then Sasuke would just nudge Naruto again and then just say, oh, you got two? Oh, that's nice. And then Sakura would be last, but like she's completely irrelevant, so we'll just skip her because we all know she's just gonna say, my likes are Sasuke. Knowing Naruto, he would just be like, yeah, there you go, Sasuke. You got one too, but like she's useless, so don't see what the point of that would be. And then Naruto would just ask Kakashi before he leaves if he could fix his Sharingan for him, because he had read in the books that Kakashi had a Sharingan that he got from a friend. And Naruto would just, Kakashi would just be like, alright, fine. And then Naruto would just fix Kakashi's Sharingan to take all of the pressure and chakra drain out. And then Naruto would also say, I got a few people that would want to say hi to you, while he would just do a few hand seals and do the reanimation jutsu. And Minato and Kushina would pop out, and Kakashi would say, how's this possible? And Naruto would just say, I just finally learned how to perfect it without having too much chakra loss on my part. And then that's when Minato would say hi to Kakashi and just ask how he's doing. All of the rest of the teammates would be surprised with him, but then Naruto would just say, "Oh yeah, the fourth, my dad. As you can tell, I have the exact same hairstyle as him. So the fact that none of y'all could tell, would kind of make y'all dumb." So yeah, then Naruto just say that to Minato and Kushina that, Mom, Dad, I know I'd have a lot of chakra left, but like, y'all should be done for now. And then they would just go back into the coffins and then just leave. And then Kakashi would just tell them, Takashi would just tell the team that he wants them to meet him at 10 a.m. at the training ground 7. Naruto would already know what Kakashi means by this and just say, okay, yeah, I'll meet you around like 2:00 p.m. Kakashi would be like, "Yep, you know me too well already," and then Kakashi would leave, and everyone else would start leaving. But then Hinata and Karin, who would be like, would ask to talk to Naruto, and then they would both say, "We both like you, but we want to know which one of us you would choose." Naruto, being the complete saucy person that he is and just finesse God himself, would just say, "I want you both." And they would both start blushing a lot, and then they would be like, "We both like you too much," and and they would just say, "All right," and then Naruto would kiss them both to seal it, and then they would just all go to Sasuke's, because Naruto had been living with Sasuke since the Uchiha massacre, to train together and grow stronger. So yeah, Naruto, they would go, and the next day Naruto would just go to the Team 7 training grounds, and Naruto, using Kurama's sensory ability, would search around the Leaf Village to find exactly where Kakashi was, and then would find the rest of Team 7, telling them that Kakashi wouldn't be there until around 1:00. So they would all just go to Ichiraku Ramen to create a plan for the bell test. Even though they don't know that it is a teamwork required exercise, they want to make sure that they have the highest chance of getting the bells. So they would spend about an hour and a half there, and then start walking to the Team 7 training ground, making it there around 10 minutes before Kakashi would make it. While they were waiting, Naruto would use the reanimation jutsu to reanimate both Minato and Kushina so that they could watch him do the bell test and see Kakashi again. Once Kakashi got there, he would see Minato and Kushina and just ask, "How are they there?" And they would just answer that Naruto used the reanimation to bring them back and watch the bell test. Kakashi would understand, not completely, because he doesn't understand how Naruto would even know the reanimation jutsu, but like he would accept it and just go into the middle where he was in Chunin and explain the bell test. And since there are 6 people in the team, he would have 5 bells. Sakura would ask why there are only 5 bells, and Kakashi would just explain that one of you was gonna fail and go back to the academy. Kakashi would tell them to start, and that's what they would do. They would all go into the woods to just think and make Kakashi think that they were trying to think of a strategy and work together to come up with a decent plan to try to get the bells. Minato and Kushina would just be sitting down watching this, waiting for it to be over. Before the team would head out to fight Kakashi, Karin would go underground preparing for Headhunter Jutsu, while Sakura and 5 Naruto shadow clones would go to attack Kakashi as a decoy, while Naruto and Sasuke would be circling around, going on opposite sides of each other, waiting for the perfect moment to fire style fireball jutsu from both sides, aiming straight for Kakashi. Karin would come out from under the ground and grab Kakashi's legs, while Naruto and Sasuke would fire the dual fire ball jutsu. And it would hit Kakashi, but it would just turn out to be a substitution. Kakashi, seeing how strong the team is, would go back out and fight them again. And this is when Shikamaru would finally come out and use his shadow paralysis jutsu to trap Kakashi in one place while they would all grab a bell besides Naruto. Before any of them would grab the bells, Naruto would run up to Kakashi and punch him and knock him out, while the rest of the team would grab the bells. They would tie Kakashi up, waiting for him to wake up as they were eating. Naruto would talk to both Karin and Hinata, asking them what their first date should be. And the rest of the team hearing this would ask what he means. Well, that's when Naruto would just say that he was dating both Karin and Hinata, and once Kakashi woke up, he would just say that they all passed, and they would just be doing some small D-rank missions until he can get Hiruzen to find a suitable C rank or above. After this, Naruto would go to the Hokage building and ask Hiruzen if he could help him with something. Hiruzen would just ask what that was, and Naruto would say that he wants him to help complete the reanimation jutsu, as he would do the hand seals and just reanimate both of his parents. He would get Hiruzen to do the seal that locks them into the real world without having to ever go back into the coffins, and he would just do that for both of them, technically making them how Madara was during the fourth Ninja War, where he didn't have to be summoned or controlled by anyone. After this, Hiruzen would just state that Minato would become Hokage again because he messed up while he was being Hokage. Minato would accept taking his position as fourth Hokage back, and as he did this, the first thing that he would order was for the Yonbu to build Naruto a new house that would fit at least 15 people, since they already know how Naruto is with girls. With Yamato's help, the house would be completed in about 2 weeks, and the first thing Naruto would do would get Sasuke, Hinata, and Karin just to move into the house. The next day, Naruto would go to his house and put on nice clothes for the date that he would have that day. He would go into both Hinata and Karin's room to see if they were ready, and that's when they would leave to go to a new restaurant, high-end restaurant that had just opened up a few months ago. While on the date, Naruto would talk to them about how everything is going to work out between them, and explain that he is going to involve more girls as they go along. And he would also just talk to them and see how they were doing and see anything that was bothering them or distracting them. As the month would go by, Team 7 would easily complete hundreds of D-rank missions, so Kakashi would just go to Minato and ask if he could get a higher ranking mission, since the ones that he has now are too easy. Minato would agree, and that's when he would call for Tazuna to come to the leaf. Tazuna would get there and Team 7 would already be waiting for him inside the Hokage office. Tazuna would be confused on why there were so many kids in this one specific group and would ask Lord Fourth exactly on why that was. He would just say that these 6 Genin were the strongest team that we could have came up with, and they worked so well together that we had to put them in one squad. Tazuna wouldn't really be able to talk shit about anyone because most of them are around the same height, Naruto being the tallest, and since he's around 12, he would be maybe around like 5'5". So yes, Tazuna wouldn't be able to talk up shit about any of them, and he would just criticize them all about saying how Shikamaru just doesn't look like he's motivated at all. Sasuke looks like he's just a little mad, and he would try to say something about Karin and Hinata, but Naruto would just give him a dead glare, and that's when Tazuna would just get scared. After getting that dead glare from Naruto, Tazuna would just ask the 4th Hokage exactly who Naruto was, and he would say that that boy right there is my son Naruto, and also the Jinchūriki of all of the tailed beasts. After hearing this, Tazuna would be a little scared, thinking that Naruto could possibly lose control during the mission, until Naruto would say that he has full control over all of the tailed beasts and they have become friends over the years. Next, Naruto would just say that they're gonna leave, and that's what they would do. Naruto would just use one of his flying Raijin marks that he put at the Leaf Village gate and teleport them all to the gate, and they would start walking from there. While they were walking, Naruto would see a puddle on the ground and know that people were hiding in there due to Kurama's immense sensory abilities. Naruto would disappear and come back with the Demon Brothers both in Naruto's hand while he's choking both of them. After investigating the Demon Brothers as much as they can, Naruto would use another flying Raijin seal and teleport to the Hokage office and tell his dad that those two were there trying to kill Tazuna. Minato would not be worried because he knows that Naruto could handle himself and he really could handle an A-rank mission. So Naruto would just come back to the Team 7 and they would keep going from there. They would walk a little farther longer, and that's when Naruto would see a white rabbit. Naruto would notice this, but he would know that white rabbits aren't supposed to be there, and they're usually just there for a substitution. So Naruto would look at Kakashi and see if Kakashi had noticed that there was someone coming again. And Kakashi would already look and just look at Naruto, and they would technically just give each other a heads up that they knew what was going on. And that's exactly when Kakashi would just tell them to duck, and they would all do it except Naruto, and he would just grab Zabuza's blade and just swing it around a few, and then just stick it into the dirt. Zabuza would just hop onto a tree branch and ask that Naruto returned his executioner blade. Naruto would do this knowing that there was a fight about to happen and he wanted it to be pretty even. As Zabuza would start making mist appear, Naruto would just say, if you're gonna do this, tell your friend hiding in the trees a few yards away to come out. Haku, being surprised, would just come out, and that's when they would start fighting. Naruto would just take Zabuza, and the first thing that he would tell him is, you have two choices here. The first, you either come with us, and you help us, and you come with us back to the Leafy Village, or you die. Zabuza, not thinking that Naruto would actually be a threat and he was just joking, would try to attack Naruto, and Naruto would just body flicker out of Zabuza's sight and completely use a Rasengan to break the executioner blade. Naruto would then go into his four tails chakra cloak, and he would just use a small tailed beast bomb to show Zabuza exactly what he could do. As Naruto would just point the tailed beast bomb at the trees, and he would just let it blow. This tailed beast bomb was small, but it was big enough to create a crater that would go for at least 3 miles in the direction that it was shot at. Zabuza, seeing that it would automatically just choose to surrender to Naruto and tell Haku to do the exact same, as he would just say that, okay, fine, we will go to the Leafy Village with you, as long as you promise that you will spare our lives. Naruto would say that he would promise, and that they would start walking to the village and house where Tazuna lives. Kakashi wouldn't be drained because he didn't have to use his Sharingan, so he would be completely fine and try teaching the rest of Team 7 tree walking and water walking. During the week that they would be training, Naruto would just be in the woods meditating by himself, since he would already know how to tree walk and water walk. He would just be training on controlling more of the tailed beast's abilities, including the acid from the 5 tails, and the lava release from the 4 tails. Sasuke, Hinata, and Karin would already know how to use tree walking and water walking, since Naruto would have taught them a few months ago. Would just meditate also, but would train on some of the jutsus that they were still trying to practice on. During this, Kakashi would also teach Sasuke how to use the Chidori, to an extent, and teach Hina to do the same, since she would be able to use lightning style. Karin would just be around the woods, just practicing her chakra trains, getting them stronger, since Kushina taught her how to activate them. At this time, Zabuza and Haku would just be training in their respective abilities. Zabuza using the Executioner Blade to find new moves to use with it, along with Haku using his ice release to see how precise that he could get his Senbon. Naruto would be in his mindscape talking to the tailed beasts and just figuring out more about their past, since most of them are okay sharing with Naruto. At this point, this is when Naruto would see weird chakra just waiting in the background. Naruto would ask the tailed beast what that was, and that's when they would say, "Oh, that's some of the old man's chakra that he left in you when you were a baby. You hadn't been able to see it before because you were strong enough, but we just didn't want you to use it until you had mastered enough and just figured out how life works to an extent, and we trusted you enough to use it." Naruto would just accept this and start walking towards it. Naruto would just grab it, and that's when the Sage of Six Paths Sage energy would combine with Naruto's own chakra, and he would get the truth-seeking orbs. Naruto and Sasuke would also train together using their eternal Mangekyus to see all of the abilities that he could have, because when they first got them, they couldn't really control any of the abilities. Naruto would use Amaterasu and just start putting it at trees until him and Sasuke would figure out that they could both control the Amaterasu and mold it into the shape that they want. After the week of training, Team 7 would get back onto the bridge, and that's when they would see Gato. Gato would just say that Zabuza and Haku should have already been dead, since he wasn't gonna pay them anyways. And Naruto hearing this, knowing that Zabuza and Haku were only doing it to raise money so that they could leave and start getting better lives, would be mad, and Zabuza would try to ask Naruto if he could just take care of it, but Naruto would just say, "Nah, I got it," as he would just use his Amaterasu and just completely incinerate all of Gato's men besides Gato, and that he would let Zabuza take care of him, as Zabuza would just decapitate him completely, and that would be that. They would wait there for a couple of weeks until the bridge was completely finished building, and the bridge would just be called the same as in canon, the Great Naruto Bridge. After this, they would start walking back to the leaf, since Naruto didn't want to use the flying Raijin, and they would just spend the whole time talking and trying to get to know each other a little more to build their teamwork up. Shikamaru would just say that that whole mission was a drag and just act like his normal self. Naruto, knowing how Shikamaru acts, would look at Shikamaru and just tell him, you need to start being more motivated in the most serious, monotone way possible. Shikamaru, knowing what Naruto could do, would just say, yes sir, and just start trying to act like he actually cares, because he knows Naruto will do something if he doesn't listen. Kakashi technically knows that Naruto would technically be the actual superior here, since he could technically obliterate the Leaf Village with one move. Once Naruto got back, he would go to the Hokage office to talk to his father. Once he got there, he would see a man with long white hair talking to his father. This man would turn around seeing Naruto, as he would run up to him, saying that he was his godfather, and just start hugging him. They would talk with each other for hours, getting to know each other, and just building a relationship, since Jiraiya was going to actually be there for a while, since his student was actually back to life, and he didn't want to have him die anytime soon. So while they were talking, the Lord Third would actually walk up into the Hokage office asking to speak with Minato. Naruto would then leave, saying that he would come over later to say goodnight, since he did not live with his parents, due to the fact that they didn't need to sleep so they could work all day and night, and they needed to work since they needed to fix the village after the Uchiha massacre. So Lord Third would tell Minato exactly what Danzo did to the Uchiha and the massacre, making the plan to do it, and tell him exactly why Naruto had all of the tailed beasts sealed inside of him, and no one else was chosen instead, and just giving Naruto one. So once Minato heard all of this, he would run straight to the foundation and to go kill Danzo. Anyone that got in his way would be executed on the spot, due to the fact that they were working straight for Danzo, so they must have been rogue ninjas working with Danzo. He would go straight to Danzo after this and kill him before he could activate his Izunagi, making sure that he killed him right then and there, and no way that he can come back. So now we get to the month before the Chunin exams. Jiraiya would train Naruto. He would start off trying to teach him the Rasengan, but Naruto had already mastered it since he had been learning the Scroll of Sealing for so long. He had already mastered how to put different chakra natures into it, and so he could put lava nature, scorch nature, and all of the tail beasts' chakra natures and special abilities into it. He could also already make the Rasen Shuriken, but it was a little more draining than everything else. So after Jiraiya would then start trying to teach Naruto the summoning jutsu. After Naruto wouldn't actually summon a Toad. Instead, he would summon three different dragons: the Dragon King Lao Fang, or the Golden Dragon, and his two sons, the Lightning Dragon Tempest, and the Dark Dragon Toothless. Jiraiya would be shocked and automatically get on his knees, as he was since he was standing in front of royalty. He would be very shocked, because the last person who actually summoned the dragons was supposedly the Sage of Six Paths, and this would be proved by the Lao Feng just saying that the last person that did summon him was the Sage of Six Paths. Lao Feng would also sense the tailed beast inside of Naruto, since the Sage of Six Paths did have all of the tailed beasts together, so Naruto would remind him of the Sage. and he would be more comfortable around him saying that, and he would just ask if he could speak with all of the tailed beasts, since they were old friends back in the days and they hadn't seen each other for a couple hundred years. Naruto wouldn't know how to do it, but that's when the tailed beast would just say, just think about it and just pull where the seal used to be, and you could let us out one by one. Just think about which ones you want to let out first. Naruto would do this and just grab his stomach and just start thinking of the tailed beasts in order, and he would pull out all of them, going from Shikaku all the way to Kurama, just in that order, as he would be able to survive because they left some parts of their actual chakra inside of Naruto to make sure that he stayed alive. So that's when all the tailed beasts would be lined up, just talking to the Dragon King Laofeng, and just getting to catch up after the hundreds of years that they hadn't seen each other. The village would see some of this, and this is when Minato would automatically just teleport straight to Jiraiya using one of his flying Raijin marks, and he would see all of the tailed beasts out and the three dragons with them. He would be a little concerned, since he did know that he had mastered all of the different tailed beasts, but he didn't know that he could just set them free whenever he wanted to. Minato would ask Naruto what was going on, but Jiraiya would answer saying that I was only trying to teach him how to do a summoning jutsu, but instead he summoned those three dragons over. Minato would be shocked hearing this and just look at Naruto with complete and utterness, like a completely shocked facial expression, and ask the dragons exactly what they wanted. The dragons would just say, the fact that your son was able to summon all three of us at once is very surprising, so we will let him use our power, and we will also let him get our sage mode to be more like the Sage of Six Paths. So this is when all three dragons would just touch Naruto one by one on his forehead, like giving him some of their chakra, and giving them the information on how to use the sage mode. He would, in under 5 minutes, learn how to completely do it, and he would just turn on the sage mode, which gave him large wings, horns, and some fangs. This was the perfect sage mode, because even like how they do it for the Toad Sage, where it doesn't actually show you anything besides the eyes. The Dragon Sage mode actually gives you the attributes of a dragon for the perfect sage mode. So Minato would be shocked about this, and the dragons would say, you were able to pass this sage mode onto anyone that you like, but it will always be a weaker version than the one you have. So Naruto, hearing this, the first thing that he would do is just pass it on to his father and godfather, and then the dragons would say, well, Laofeng would say that I'm not always going to be available, since I am the Dragon King. So anytime that you need either any of us, just do the summoning jutsu and say our specific names, and that we will come. And if you don't feel like doing that, just make a small cut on yourself, and just like if you're in the darkness, Toothless will always be there, and if you involve some lightning chakra nature, Tempest will just show up automatically. After this, they would leave, and the tail beast would just start going into Naruto one by one, returning back, and Naruto would say that he would let them free at least once a month just to get some fresh air, and have some technical freedom, even though inside of his mindscape he's already made the taken the cage out and made it to look where it was a full grassland inside of it, and all of the tailed beasts had space to roam together and just feel free in there. So they would be just trained for the next month as Naruto was trying to master his Dragon Sage mode, and he would have went to go find the rest of his team and give them the Dragon Sage mode too, which the first person that he would give it to was Karin and Hinata, to give them a small power up and make sure that they were able to use it properly. So he would train them for about a week first before the Chunin exams would start. Then he would go to Sasuke. Sasuke, being a little hesitant, saying then Naruto would just say, "This will give you more power and help you finally take down your brother Itachi." Sasuke, hearing this, would automatically just say, "Okay." And this is when Naruto would give him the Dragon Sage mode, which gives him a technical big power of making him almost to the strength of that he was at the beginning of Shippuden. So next he would go to Shikamaru and Sakura, as he would see Shikamaru training, since Naruto did tell him that he wanted Shikamaru to be more motivated and train more to actually become a better ninja. So Naruto, seeing this, would just go straight to Shikamaru, tap him on the forehead, and he would then get the Dragon Sage mode. The final person that he would give was to Sakura, but he would be more hesitant since Sakura wasn't really training, and she was just always following Sasuke around. So this is when he would use an ability that the Sage mode does give him. Since his is stronger than everyone else's there, he's the only person that has this ability, which is the ability to technically put people in a technical genjutsu that the dragons showed him. And in this genjutsu, it would technically be like it's technically like hypnosis, where whatever you say while they're in the genjutsu, they will believe and start to do. So as he would just tell Sakura that, "I'm fine with you liking Sasuke, but you have to train more and actually want to benefit yourself and help the team." And when Sakura got out of it, she would automatically say that she wants to go start training more, as Naruto would then give her the Dragon Sage mode at that point in time. So they would all train with the Dragon Sage mode until the Chunin exams, and Naruto had already given Kakashi the Dragon Sage mode too, and these were his team and his father were the only people that he was gonna give the Dragon Sage mode to, besides Lord Third, to keep him alive for a little longer. So now we get to the Chunin exams. As when they first walk in and they see the genjutsu, Naruto automatically knows that that's a genjutsu, since the dragons also had the ability to completely block out all genjutsu. And so he wouldn't tell anyone else besides his own team, and they would just get past through the genjutsu and go to the third floor of the place, as this is when Rock Lee would try to challenge Naruto instead of Sasuke, knowing that he was the son of the fourth Hokage. Rock Lee would still say the same things about how Naruto just had talent and he never had to work hard for anything. This would piss Naruto off, because he would just tell Rock Lee that, "You think that I've never had to work hard? My whole life I've had to work hard. I had to learn how to control all of the tailed beasts that I didn't even want to have them sealed in me. It wasn't my choice. Don't get me wrong, me and them are completely good friends right now, but learning to control them was hard, due to how stubborn some of them are." And he would then say that he has only had to train. He has only trained hard to make sure that he could get better and eventually become Hokage. So Rock Lee would be actually very surprised about this and say, "I still want to fight to show you that no matter how much talent or hard work you say you've done, I will be stronger." Naruto would say, "Alright," as Rock Lee would just say, "Oh, note no genjutsu, note ninjutsu, and only taijutsu." Naruto would say he was fine with that, as he would just tell Son Goku or the Four Tails that he's gonna require his taijutsu abilities, since the Four Tails is Son Goku's taijutsu abilities was guys in the fifth gate level. So Naruto would start doing a taijutsu battle with Lee, and he would see Lee's movement very clearly, and then before Lee could even make a first move, Naruto would just dodge as Lee was trying to make it and tell him that if he wants to have any chance of winning, he might just want to take the weights off first. Lee, hearing this, would be surprised that Naruto could already see that he had weights on, so he would take them off softly, making sure that no one could actually hear how much they truly weighed. So this is when he would try getting serious, and Naruto would just get the same amount. So Naruto would just start doing a taijutsu battle with Lee, and he would be taking it easy on Lee for about a good 3 minutes, and then he would say, "Your taijutsu level is pretty good for our age, but I think it's time to end this." Lee would be like, "What do you mean end this? You've been trying your hardest this entire time." Naruto would say, "No, I haven't even been using 20% of my abilities." Lee, hearing this, would be shocked and just say that he was lying, as Naruto would just go out of Lee's sight, come behind him, and just chop him in the neck, as he would just leave, getting ready to go to the first part of the exam. As Naruto would get there, he would just sit down and they would explain exactly how the test was going to work. Naruto would be smarter than he was in canon, so he would actually get the test done completely in under like 5 minutes, beating Itachi's score and his own father's, surprising the test examiners. Then the rest of his team would follow shortly after, since he had also been training them in their intelligence, besides Shikamaru, knowing that Shikamaru was easily the smartest one out of them under him. So his whole team would be done in under 30 minutes, leaving the rest of the people there to have another hour just waiting, the hour taking the test. So they would all start walking to the forest of death, as the rest of the team, besides Karin and Hinata, would just say that since we have around an hour to wait, we're just gonna go out and get something to eat. Naruto would just allow it, and they would all walk off besides Naruto, Hinata, and Karin, as they would just wait at the forest of death. Naruto would see Anko and just look at both Karin and Hinata, and they would see the face that he had, and they would be like, "Oh, here goes another one." As Naruto would just walk up to Anko and just say, "Oh, hi, what's your name?" As he would just start striking up a conversation with her, and he would just dead straight tell her that, "I want you to join my harem." As Anko would be very surprised by this and just say, "Are you lost, kid? I'm a little too old for you." Naruto would say, "Does it look like I care?" As Naruto would technically use Kurama's sensing ability to sense what kind of people Anko liked, because I'm gonna give Kurama that ability, and he would say, "Oh, so you like strong people, people that could easily be you and almost anyone else." And that's when Uncle would be surprised, saying like, "How would you know that?" As Naruto would say, "If you like strong people, I'm the strongest person out of it, probably everyone in the village, including my father." Uncle being surprised that Naruto would even say this, would attempt to try to blitz him and just chop him in the neck, trying to show him um who's boss, and like show him that he's not the strongest. As she would try to blitz him, Naruto would just blitz her from going out of her eyesight, as he would just come from behind her and just grab, you know what. Anko would be very shocked by this, and she would actually get a little horny from it. So she would just like do a light moan and or a light scream, and she would just, and this is when she would just turn around at Naruto, and this is way before anyone else got there. She would just be surprised about this, and she would say, "Okay, if you beat me in a spar, I'll join." As Naruto would say, "Fine," and he would just um get in a fighting stance with, and they would both start trying to spar, but Naruto would just easily do not really be doing anything. Instead, he would literally, anytime that Anko would get close, he would just grab her chest and literally grab it and then blitz away. So he was just technically playing with her the whole time until he was just like, "Okay, I've had enough. You," and then he would just technically um, just come from behind her and then just put her in a not very tight chokehold, and she would just say, "Okay, you win." As she would just turn around and kiss him, as Hinata and Karin would just come over and kiss Naruto as well. This is around 20 minutes before anyone else would come, so they would just start talking, and exactly Naruto would tell Anko to get something get something that's not business casual to wear for the date that those two are gonna have. The day that well, after this exam is over. This, and then after this is when all of the other teams would start getting there, as Naruto's team would just get there like about like 3 minutes before the rest of them. This is when Anko would explain to the rest of the people what was happening during the forest. As when Uncle said start, Naruto had already made shadow clones to go find all of the people that had the scrolls that they needed, as he would just tell his team to go straight for the middle. As this would happen, Naruto wouldn't have to take the piss that he had to in canon, because that was just a little dumb, and I didn't see really the point of that. As when Orochimaru got there and Naruto saw the giant snake, he would just see that he was technically in complete darkness, and just prick himself and just say, "Toothless." As Toothless would just pop up asking Naruto exactly what he needed, and this is when Toothless would see the snake summoning and just say, "Oh, we've been watching your world for a while. This is Orochimaru's summonings." As Naruto would just say, "Oh yeah, the Sanin that betrayed the village, right?" Toothless would just say, "Yeah," and say, "Could you?" As Naruto would just say, like, "Could you deal with this?" And so I could go protect my team. Toothless would say, "Yeah, alright." As That's when Naruto would just come blitz back to the his team, since they try to separate Naruto. Even though he didn't need a P, he saw a team that might have had this girl, since the Shadow Clones were coming back. So he saw a team that was right next to them just get attacked by the Sound for the Sound Shinobi. So he would have already taken care of the Sound Shinobis and killing them all because he didn't really want to deal with all of that, and they said that killing was allowed. So this is when Naruto would just blitz back to his team. This is before Orochimaru had bit Sasuke. As Orochimaru would then try to give Sasuke the curse mark, but Naruto would get there too quick and just chop Orochimaru's head off. Orochimaru would just grow it right back, saying, "Ow, that hurt." And this is when Orochimaru would see Naruto, and he would also see the summoning behind him, since Toothless had already dealt with the snake. So Naruto would just tell Toothless to do his biggest burst straight at Orochimaru, as this is what Toothless would do, shooting a giant plasma burst at Orochimaru, completely obliterating him. And I'm gonna say that due to the exact type of blast that Toothless did, Orochimaru wouldn't be able to come back for a long time, since his soul was technically shredded from all of the other curse marks. So Orochimaru would actually be dead instead of ever coming back. So Orochimaru would just be dead, and Naruto would take the rest of his team and just get to the middle before any other team could, meeting his shadow clones there, and just complete the force of death for the first and highest time between any previous people. Naruto would have went to his dad to tell him that Orochimaru was there to try to take Sasuke, but since Orochimaru died, he wasn't able to actually give Sasuke the curse mark. So once Naruto got to his dad, he would tell his dad that he could reanimate Orochimaru and just have Orochimaru do whatever Naruto wanted, since he would be under Naruto's control for the reanimation. Which is when Minato would just say, "Okay, do it. Can you do it right now?" And Naruto would just be like, "Yeah, Dad. Just give me about a minute or two." As Naruto would do the hand signs and start reanimating Orochimaru, since he managed to master it, and he doesn't need any bodies to actually reanimate them. He just needed a piece of their DNA that they had. So that's when he would reanimate Orochimaru, and Orochimaru, seeing exactly what was going on, would be mad that he died, but Naruto would just say, "Isn't this technically what you wanted? You might have died, but now you can't really die anymore. Anytime you're about to die, you just regenerate anyway, so you're technically almost immortal." So Orochimaru, hearing this, would say, "You're right, but I did die, so that's not technically what I wanted." As Naruto would just be like, "If you actually work well with the leaf and you actually choose to actually help the leaf, I could eventually bring you back to life as soon as I trust you and bring you back to life for real." As this is when Orochimaru would hear this saying, "Alright, but I still want to be immortal." And Naruto would just say, "If you wanted to be immortal, I talked to Anko, and she told me about your curse mark and how it worked, and how she said that you could never truly be immortal since you only had a 3-year limit," is I think what she said, "before the body would reject you." And my thought on that was, how come you didn't just clone yourself so you would have the perfect body already, since it was automatically your own body? As Orochimaru would hear this and he would just say, "How did I not think of that?" And that's when Orochimaru would say, "If you think you can do it, I'll agree to join the Leaf." As this is when Orochimaru would, well, Naruto would just tell Orochimaru to go back to the Sound Village to make that become part of the Leaf and just intertwine them together. As since Orochimaru wouldn't be able to deny this, because Naruto did reanimate him, and Naruto could have just made him do it anyway. So once Orochimaru got there, he would just tell the Sound that they were going to join the Leaf Village and all of that. So he would also get all of his other bases to join the Leaf too. So Suigetsu and Jugo would go to the Leaf automatically, because Orochimaru knew that they were some of the strongest people that he had with him. And Suigetsu, being from the land of the mist, would just start training with Zabuza, with his sword that Naruto had someone make for him. So okay, this is when and this was all within like the first 2 or 3 days. And so this is when Jiraiya would come back and ask him if Naruto wanted to train again. As Naruto would say yes, and they would just go train for the rest of the month that they had. The funny thing is, since Naruto knew most of the jutsus that Jiraiya was going to try to teach him, Jiraiya and him would just mainly do combat. And since Naruto and then this is while Naruto would start training with all of the tailed beasts too, and just they would tell him that if you want, you could also bring us out as one of your other summonings, along with the dragons, since us and the dragons used to work together back when we were with the old man. As Naruto would hear this, and he'll just ask how am I supposed to do that, because he has done it once, but that was mostly the tailed beast doing the work for him instead of him actually doing it instead. As and he said that, but the fact is, y'all are a little too big when when you guys come out of the me. So I want, if there's any way that you guys could become a bit smaller, or go back to like a smaller state with all of your power, that would work. That way I could just keep you guys out, and you could, and just have you out in the world, but still tethered to me as long for when I need you. As they would just say, there is a way. And that's when Naruto would say, oh, okay. As they would then just tell Naruto to grab his seal and just say the name of the name or number of the tailed beast that he wanted to take out. As he would start taking all of the tailed beasts out in order, saying Shikaku, because I can't remember the names of all of those tailed beasts, so I'm just gonna name the ones that I do know, and then the ones that I don't, I'm just gonna call them by their numbers. And if you guys could tell me the names of all the tailed beasts, that would be a little helpful. So just do that, yeah. So this is when Naruto would take out all of the tailed beasts, but they would leave like half of their power in him to make sure that he stays alive. As this is when they would all be out, but they would be in a smaller form. Since they weren't really doing any battle right now, they would just be in the form that we see in the picture here, just being small enough to technically be around Naruto and just be like that. As this is when the when Hagoromo would see all of this, and he would say, "I've been watching my son's reincarnate for a while since I knew he had all of the tail beast in him, and I wanted to see how he would use them first." As this is when he would just come down from the sky and just come meet Naruto and start talking to him. As Jiraiya would meet him too, and then he would be surprised that the Sage of Six Paths was over there with him. So this is when the sage would just say hi to all of the tailed beasts, calling them by their names, and they would say, "Old man, what are you doing here?" As he would just say, "I've been watching this boy for many years, well, since the day that he was born, to make sure that he didn't abuse any of you and see how he would act with you. I saw that you guys had taken a liking to him, since he was technically my son's reincarnate as well as mine. So I thank you for actually deciding to like humans for this time, since I knew though they weren't treating you amazing, and I couldn't have done much because we needed to I wasn't able to show up, and I didn't have much of a reason to, even though I knew you guys were struggling, and you didn't really like having to be locked in. I knew that one day my reincarnate would show up, and I just didn't know exactly how he was gonna what his personality would be like. So I wanted to make sure that all of this was happening." As he would also say that this is the first time that I've ever met any any Jinchūriki that actually cared about the tailed beast. So he would say, "Since you care about the tailed beast so much," and Naruto would say yes, that he does, they're the closest thing that they're his best friends, and they've always been here for him. The Sage of Six Paths would actually do the same thing that he did to the tailed beasts, and he would use the Uzumaki curse, which all the tailed beasts were under, making Naruto technically like the tailed beast, as in whenever he would die, he would technically just come back to life, and technically have that happen, as long as but his forever avatar, as his forever tailed beast that he would be linked to, would be the Kurama, the Nine Tails. But he would always have the abilities of every tailed beast, but he might not always be connected to them, unless he chooses to connect with them every time that he reincarnates. So as this is when after he does this, he would also say that you already have all these tailed beasts in you. As this is when he would give Naruto technically his Sage of Six Paths his own Sage of Six Paths mode, so Naruto would actually get the truth-seeking orbs and start learning to master them. As he would also give him the Sun and Moon seal, because he knew that Naruto would know exactly what to do with him, and he had told Naruto what to do with him too. But he told him not to do it until he was ready. Well, until Sasuke was ready to take the seal. So Naruto actually getting the Sage Paths mode, and the fact that he already had all of the tail beast within him, would get a Rinnegan, and he would actually get the Sharingan too, since the Sage of Six Paths want to do this just because it's my what if, so I'm saying that he would. So Naruto would actually get the Sharingan, and he would be technically but he would also have the Rinne Sharingan too, as this is when, but the difference is he could actually turn them on and off, and he would be able to turn them on and off and just have his normal eyes instead, depending on when he wanted them to. So Naruto getting the Sage's sixth path. This is one that he would Hagoromo would just say that if you ever need me, I'll be inside you along with the tailed beast. So with all of this happening, this is when Hagoromo would just say, you will have a very big increase of chakra now. Naruto's chakra was already technically abundant since his Uzumaki relations, but now his chakra would technically be almost infinite, and he would be able to use literally every every nature style that has almost ever existed, including wind release and I think storm release, but yeah. So he would be able to use all chakra natures and every chakra nature that ever has existed. So this is when Jiraiya would start going back to teach Naruto, and there's maybe only a few jutsus that Naruto didn't know. So he would teach Naruto this is when he would try to teach Naruto a very advanced version of the fireball jutsu, the majestic phoenix flame. And Naruto, since he had such a increase in chakra, he would actually need to start training on his chakra control too, so he wouldn't leak out too much chakra. So Naruto would learn this in about a week, since he was trying to make sure that he also learned to control all of the chakra that he had just gotten. So this is when Naruto would just start trying to create his own jutsus and just create his own jutsus to just find a better way to use them, to find a better way to become stronger. So you guys can name jutsus down in the comments and just give me some ideas on whatever ones that you guys wanted. I might add them into the story. So yeah. So the only ones I can't really think of any right now. So yeah, just give me some ideas into the comments. So this is when the month of training would be over. We'll just time skip after to this, and then they get to the fights. So the fights most of the fights would go to canon, but Naruto versus Kiba would, I think, yeah, Naruto versus Kiba, Naruto would just not want to actually play with him too much, since he just wanted to get all this done, and would just technically just go hit Kiba chop Kiba in the back of the neck and just end him that quick. Akamaru would try to still protect Kiba, then he would see Naruto and he would just feel like Naruto's dominance over him, and he would just yield and just technically just go to Naruto and let Naruto pet him. Since all the tailed beasts combined just technically make any animal around just feel like Naruto was the alpha. So this is when we would get to the Sasuke and Gaara fight, because most of the other fights, we would get to the Naruto and Neji fight. So Naruto, since Neji did hurt Hinata the same way, if I didn't say that in the last one, yeah. So so Naruto would technically just beat down on Neji, telling him the same thing that he did in canon on how hard work is more important than talent, because you could have talent, but if without working hard, you're never gonna get anywhere. So Neji would still get the same lesson that he did in canon, and this is when Naruto would just beat down on Neji for hurting Hinata, and then just eventually just use all of the bloodlust that he had and just knock Neji out using that alone. Which might be jutsu that I give Naruto, technically like Stain's bloodlust binding. Naruto's able to use his bloodlust to technically make anyone submit or like use it as like a weapon and just use his bloodlust in that way. So yeah, then we would get to the Sasuke and Gaara fight. Sasuke, knowing that Naruto had gotten stronger, would have tried harder too, and Naruto would have actually influenced Sasuke to train harder. And since Sasuke doesn't have the curse mark yet, because might have Orochimaru still do curse marks, but a perfected version so that he could actually help the Hidden Leaf. So yeah. So Sasuke would actually be going head to head with Gaara, and he would use his lightning way earlier, which would still send Gaara into since Gaara wasn't actually the tailed beast for the One Tails, he would be way kinder and just be technically more of a normal kid. As Gaara wouldn't actually rampage or do anything. As so Sasuke would actually win. As this is when the Sand would do the still try to do the Konoha strike, even though they don't have a Jinchūriki. So yeah, they would do it, and they didn't know that Orochimaru wasn't with them anymore, so they would still try to do the Konoha strike, but they would fail miserably. And the Gaara's dad would actually still be alive, since Orochimaru didn't go to the Sand Village to try to kill Gaara's dad to take the place of him. So yeah, this is when the fourth would actually make the Sand submit to them and make a peace treaty between them so that they wouldn't ever do this again. As we would technically, I think, finish the Chunin exams. Since they did still do the Konoha crash, Lee was still hurt, but not to the extent because that Gaara did to him in the actual canon. Because Gaara wasn't actually trying to kill Lee, but he still did manage to injure Lee to a pretty bad extent, since he still knew that they were going to do the Konoha crush anyways. So they would still need to get Tsunade, but Tsunade is not going to become the Hokage yet. I don't think I'm going to make her yet. So yeah, Tsunade wouldn't become the Hokage, and they would still try to go to get Tsunade to go heal up Lee, since Naruto, the extent that Lee was damaged, and the fact that Jiraiya actually just wanted to go see Tsunade, so he would just tell Naruto not to heal him, and just let Tsunade do it instead. So Naruto would still start going, and this is when Itachi and Kisame would walk into the leaf, trying to get Naruto or at least gauge his strength to see, because they didn't know that Naruto had actually gotten full control over all the tailed beasts and how strong Naruto actually was. And Kakashi would still get put in the Genjutsu by Itachi, and this is when they would knock on the door. Naruto, knowing Jiraiya wouldn't be at least back for a long time, hearing the knock would actually be a little more cautious, and he would the shadow clone open the door and then disperse automatically. Naruto, saying that it was Itachi, and knowing his father telling Naruto what Itachi did the massacre and what Itachi was doing right now, Naruto would have already known Itachi would have came for him at one point or another. So this is when Naruto would just technically, he would use his Rinnegan and just put Kisame in a very strong genjutsu that he wouldn't be able to break out of, so him and Itachi could talk. As he would just tell Itachi and say, Itachi, I know why you did it. The fourth is alive, as I'm pretty sure you would know by now. So we've already killed Danzo. You are allowed to come back to the village. As Itachi would hear this and say, how did you know this? And he would just say, my father told me after the Lord Third confessed to him, and they went to go kill Danzo for the crimes and treason that he had done to the Leaf Village and you. So Itachi would hear this and say, but I can't really get away from Kisame right now. As Naruto would say, I got that. I could easily kill him if I wanted to. I've already learned to master all the tailed beasts, well, control them, and they're all of my friends. As Itachi would hear this and say, oh, then I'm guessing either way if we came and I didn't join you, there was not really any possible way of us winning or getting out of this alive, was there? Naruto would just say, nah, not really. Unless I felt generous, and the only reason that would happen is if I just wanted to know where your base was. So he would take Kisame out of the genjutsu, and this is when Naruto would just immediately kill Kisame, and he would just grab Samehara. As Samehara, feeling all of the tail beasts, would be a little scared of Naruto, and he would submit, but he would also feel Yuki's the eight tails Yuki, and he would feel like the fact that he was an aquatic type tailed beast and was an octopus, so he would be more comfortable around Naruto. And so Naruto would just take Samehara for the time being at least, and just use that as his sword. So yeah, as this is we would get to them actually going to Tsunade. They would find Tsunade in the same place as they did in canon, and Tsunade would still trash talk the Hokage and saying how, even though they didn't want her to be Hokage, Naruto would say that the Hokage wants you back. Well, my dad wants you back to heal some of the people that were injured during the attack on the leaf by the sand. As Tsunade would hear this would just say the same thing that she did in canon, and Naruto would get mad since he doesn't want to be Hokage, and his father is the Hokage right now. So he would get mad and say, alright, you want to go? Meet me outside. As Naruto would just start walking outside, and Tsunade would say, Jiraiya, balls on this kid. And Jiraiya would just say, yeah, I wouldn't get him mad if I was you. He could have killed me if he wanted to. As Tsunade would just start laughing and just say, you're kidding. Stop bluffing. And Jiraiya would say, yeah, I'm not, but you can go test him yourself. Tsunade would be not believing Jiraiya, and she would just say, alright, since Jiraiya is playing around, whoever wins the fight, if you win the fight, I'll come back to Leaf Village with you and heal all of the people. But if I win, Jiraiya, you have to pay all of the debts that I have. As Jiraiya would say, oh, okay, you're not going to win, so it's not really my problem. As Tsunade would tell Naruto to go, and Naruto would still say that he's going to become Hokage, so you better not talk down about them, down on them again. As Naruto would just, even before fighting, Naruto would just go halfway and just turn on his KCM 2 and technically just start manifesting tails. As for this is I'm gonna say that if Naruto, since Naruto is the tail beast of all of them, he can actually manifest the real tails instead of just chopper tails if he wanted to. But he could choose if they're all the same type of tails. Like if he wanted all 9 tails from the Kurama, he could do that. But I'm gonna say for this, he just does one tail from every tailed beast. So he does the one tail's tail, the two tails, one of the two tails tails, and then we just go on from that. He does one of the tails from every tailed beast and just does that. Tsunade would see this and be very shocked and wondering how this boy had already learned to master all of them. Seeing this, she would be a little more scared, but she would go in to punch Naruto. Naruto, using his Sharingan and Rinnegan, would just easily see this as very slow motion, and he would just dodge it and punch Tsunade. As this is when Tsunade would just be like, "God damn, kid, you were strong." And Naruto would just say, "Should be. I'm gonna be the next Hokage, aren't I?" As Tsunade would just start laughing and say, "Not if you can't beat me." As Naruto would just start using his bloodlust and make a sword, because I'm gonna say that Naruto, having the Sage of Six Paths within him, doesn't have to really use hand signs anymore. As he would just start using his bloodlust as a weapon, not a lethal one, but he would just hit Tsunade, make her fly back a little, and then he would also just say, "Alright, I'm done. I'm just gonna show you one move, and then you can choose how you want to deal with me after." As he would just show Tsunade the giant Rasengan, and Tsunade would be shocked seeing that this boy had already mastered it. And she would say, "Jiraiya, why would you teach this boy such a dangerous jutsu?" As he would just say, "I didn't teach it to him. I could barely teach him anything. He learned this himself before I even met him, and he had already started working on his own jutsus that he was creating himself." Tsunade, hearing this, would automatically say, "Okay, kid, you win. I could already sense that you weren't going your full power, and I couldn't even deal with you then. So, you win. I'll come back to the Leaf Village with you." As they would start going back to the Leaf, and since Orochimaru had already joined the Leaf, there wouldn't be any combat to deal with there. As this is when Naruto would just use a flying Raijin seal anyways to teleport them back to the gate of the Leaf Village. Tsunade would be shocked that Naruto had already learned this and would go straight to the hospital to start learning to start healing all of the people that were injured. So this is when Naruto would actually go to his dad, just saying to him that he got the job done and he's already brought Tsunade back. As dad would be happy and just say, all right, Naruto, I want you to go with Jiraiya for the next 2.5 years to start, to train with him and technically so the Akatsuki can so you aren't in one place at a time, so the entire Akatsuki doesn't try to get to you, since they already know that you killed Kisame since he hasn't returned, and I'm guessing that they're gonna figure out soon enough that we've gotten Itachi back. As this is when Itachi would walk in, saying hi to Naruto, seeing him, and just say, "Lord Fourth, you called?" As he would just say, "Yes, I wanted to check on you and make sure that you were okay, since you had just you had been gone, and if you need anything, just ask." As this is when Itachi will say, "Right now I'm fine. I'm just getting to hanging out with my brother and figuring out how to talk to him more, since he's still a little mad that I chose the Leaf over our own family." As Naruto would say, "Oh, I could deal with that. he would just say, yeah, the Sage Six Paths showed me a way to revive people. As this is when Kushina would walk in, hearing them say, "If this is true, could you revive our clan?" As Naruto would say, "Yes, I was thinking of you, but I'll do Itachi's first, since the way that their clan died was at his hands, so he needs to reconcile for that first." So Naruto would just ask, how many of Danzo's men, because Minato chose to keep most of Danzo's men alive, and actually gonna retcon what I said earlier and say that instead Minato kept Danzo alive to interrogate him and just torture him a little, even though this might not sound like how Minato would work normally. I'm just gonna say Naruto knew eventually that he was gonna do something and requiring this, so he just told his dad to keep Danzo alive and just keep him out of sight from anyone, just keep him out of sunlight, and have him in a cell. So, yeah, Naruto would just use his bloodlust to make all of the root ninjas. I'm gonna say that it's still the same amount of people in the actual Anbu that are actually working for the leaf, but I'm gonna say that the root was actually 2 times bigger. Yeah, I'm gonna say that the root ninjas and the ones that work for Danzo were actually 2 times bigger. So Naruto would use half of them, saying that that should be enough for the entire Uchiha clan. He would just take them back to where they died. He wouldn't put them in the exact same positions, but he would just take them all to the Uchiha compound, putting them in the general area where they all died. And this is when Naruto would use both of the Sun and Moon seals that he has and just revive the entire clan, technically just using a snap, as they would all of the root ninjas would start transforming into the actual Uchiha that died. So Naruto would just leave after that and have them talk with Itachi to get to reconcile, as he would actually go to take the rest of the root ninjas into the whirlpool village where the Uzumakis lived, and just have them just reincarnate his clan too. As this is when once they were came back, he would just tell them that they were gonna all move to the Leaf Village with Kushina and all of us, as they would agree, feeling in Naruto's immense blood pressure that he emits just by walking. A few days after the clans had been revived, as Naruto is with Hinata, Ino, and Anko, I think those were the ones that I put Naruto with. If not, those are the ones that he's with. Yeah, so he's with those 3 in his own house, and just chilling over there with them, having like a nice dinner with them. And it's about to turn nighttime, as this is when they go into the bedroom, start ripping Naruto's clothes off and having a little fun for the night. Yeah, he is. Yeah, so they're starting to have a little fun for the night. So they're like ripping Naruto's clothes off, ripping each other's clothes off. Ino's kissing Anko. They're doing all of that. So the next day comes, Anko's getting ready to leave to go do her actual job, as the rest of Inko's getting ready to Ino is getting ready to leave, and Hinata's getting ready to leave too, as this is when they all go their separate ways, and Naruto's heading off to the see his dad in the Hokage office. So he gets there and he sees that Jiraiya is there, as this is when Jiraiya says, Naruto. We have heard rumors about the well, we have heard that Itachi said that the Akatsuki are trying to look for, well, trying to get all the tail beastum for this, well, for something. So me and your father think that it would be a good idea for you to leave the village for a few years to lose the trail of all of these members. As Naruto says, yeah, I understand it. When do we leave? But as long as I have to make a few adjustments first. As Jiraiya says, what do you mean adjustments? As Naruto says, my entire team needs to be training for this time. So he's putting Shikamaru with Asuna. Because I'm gonna say Asuna's not gonna even die in this timeline because I'm not having that happen. Naruto's not even gonna be in the village, and they know that's gonna. He's not in the village, so he's not gonna die. So Shikamaru is gonna be training with Asuna. Hinata's gonna be training with Tsunade, along with Sakura, and Sasuke is gonna still be training with Orochimaru. So yeah, and Shikamaru is also going to train with Orochimaru on the times that he's not training with Azuma. So they're all going to be training with some Sanin for some time. So this is when Naruto during these few days had gotten a few scrolling seals from the Uzumaki clan to learn how to use. Since the fact that he revived them, they wanted to repay him for that. So yeah, and all of the other villages at this point have now learned that the Uzumaki clan has been revived, which they're wondering how's that even possible. But once they hear that it was their Jinchūriki, they feel like he's getting too strong. And this is when all of the other villages besides the Sand, the try to make an alliance with each other to go set war onto the Hidden Leaf in a few years once they know that their Jinchūriki has returned back to the leaf. So Naruto leaves, and during these 2 years, Naruto's spending most of it just with Jiraiya, just going around doing training sometimes. That Naruto's already has KCM, so there's not much training with that. And Naruto, if Naruto didn't have Sage Mode, this is when Naruto just starts speaking with the Sage of Six Paths, and this is when he gets Sage of Six Paths Sage Mode, or Six Paths Sage Mode, and gets. And if he already had this, I'm just gonna say he learns to master it during this time. And the first thing that he does is give Jiraiya some Six Paths Sage Mode. So they're training for this entire time, and this is when they run into Fu. And the fact that she's not a Jinchūriki for the Seven Tails, Naruto knew that he was already the Jinchūriki of all of the tail beasts. So, well, almost for a long time. So he knew that he could actually transfer some of the tail beast energy, or spirits, into other people, because he has enough chakra and enough of them to just to stay alive no matter what. So he inputs some of the Seven Tails chakra into maybe a good 15% of the Seven Tails chakra into Fu, as Fu starts actually merging with it, and she sticks around Naruto for the rest of the 2 years, as Naruto finds the rest of anyone who was supposed to be an actual Jinchūriki. He doesn't know that they were supposed to be actual Jinchūrikis, but he's just the fact that he's going around the technical world, just looking around. He's going through all the 5 nations. So he's going through all of the different villages, and he's finding people which he would think would be worthy to get some of the tailed beast abilities. So he's already gotten tailed beast for the he already gave Gaara the one Shikaku, and he's also already given Matatabi the two tails to his the person who had him in canon, along with Isobu and Son Goku to their rightful people, giving them all 15% each of that specific tailed beast, since Naruto knows he's going to be the only one with all the tailed beasts, or even more than one tailed beast. As this is when we get to the 5 tails Kokuyu, and the 6 tails 7 and 8, they all get sent to their rightful person from canon. But for the 8 tails, Naruto goes to he goes to the hidden cloud, meets Killer Bee, and Killer Bee still is brothers with because the strength that he had already before getting the tailed beast. So they're still brothers, but he's not a tailed beast. As Naruto meets him, and B has already heard of Naruto's reputation, and the fact that even the fact that he is the tailed beast of the leaf. Naruto knows that all the villages have been trying to get him for the whole time, but he's been going in quietly, just gathering whoever he needs, and all of the other tailed beasts have been staying with Naruto. So all the people who he's gotten to get some percent of the tailed beast have been staying with Naruto for the entire time. But Naruto's gonna tell Killer Bee to stay with the Raikage. Well, never mind. No, he's not. Killer Bee's going with Naruto too. So Naruto gives Killer Bee the 15% with his own consent, with Killer Bee's consent, and Killer Bee agrees, and Killer Bee leaves with Naruto too. Getting Samehara, and Killer Bee left a note for the Raikage saying that he is left with Naruto, the Jinchūriki of all the tailed beasts, and is going to be training with him for the remainder of the year, maybe staying with him for a while. As this is when Naruto actually has an encounter starts having encounters with the Akatsuki. He's already managed to kill Deidara and the immortal guy just by his own strength alone, and he managed to go into the leaf for a bit, just because he knows that the training that he needs to do isn't really gonna be too rigorous, and he's strong as it is, so he's just gonna go. He can go back to the leaf anytime that he wants, as long as it's not for too long. So he went back to the leaf, and this is when he got Shikamaru to play the same trick that he did on him in canon, but Asuma doesn't die. As Naruto would leave automatically after getting pleasured by his girlfriends, and so then this is when Naruto would meet Pain. But the fact is, Naruto actually, I'm gonna say, if I didn't, he already has the Rinnegan, but he can turn them on and off, along with the Rinne Sharingan and almost any other type of dojutsu known, because the fact that he has the Sage's 6th Passing within him, so he could use any type of dojutsu. So Pain actually chooses to leave all of the Pains after. So Pain chooses to leave the Akatsuki and join Naruto to just work for him, because he knows that Naruto is the person that should be in charge, that might be able to change the world for the better. So yeah. So next is Naruto's encounter with Obito. Naruto was going around, and Obito knew that Naruto was taking some of his tailed beasts. So he Obito went with any of the remaining Akatsuki members, which I'm pretty sure was just Black Zetsu and him, and the puppet guy, to try getting Naruto. But once they got there, Naruto automatically knew that Obito was not Madara, and he knew that it was Obito because Isobu the Three Tails was put into Rin before she died. So and during that time he felt Obito's presence, so he knew that wasn't Madara. So yeah. Naruto knows that's Obito, and he says, "Obito, you can take off the mask. I know who you are. You're not gonna be fooling me with that." And Obito's saying, "How would you even possibly know who I am? I left the village long before you were born. I'm presumed dead," as Naruto would say. "I have the three tails in me. I remember I have all the tailed beasts, the three tails. Remember your how you feel, like remember your chakras. So that's how I could remember who you are." And Obito's just surprised about this, and he's like, "So you have control over the tailed beasts?" Naruto just saying, "Yeah, I have perfect control. The tailed beasts are my friends. We've learned to coexist and work together for a long time." As Obito said, "So we had no chance of beating you." As Naruto just says, "Yeah, and I know that you're working for Madara because he's the only person here. He's the only person that I've heard of that would be able to get the Rinnegan, since Pain isn't an Uchiha, so he wouldn't be able to unlock the Rinnegan unless he was actually the Sage of Six Paths. But that's impossible because I know the Sage, and he would know." So this is around like close to the end of the 2-year mark, and then after this, Obito actually agrees to go back to the village with Naruto because he knew that was the only way that he would stay alive. So the Akatsuki is no more at this point. The only person left that didn't join was Black Zetsu and Madara. Besides this, everyone else went. The sand guy went back to the sand village, and so now Gaara's still the Kazekage. So Naruto lets him stay in the village to be the actual Kazekage, and since no one actually had died at this point, even the Mizukage, which is not under Obito's control anymore, is still alive. So he lets those tailed beasts stay for the term with their villages. But besides that, anyone who's not a actual Hokage, or that, even besides Killer Bee, because Naruto knew that Killer Bee was important to this cloud, but he was a Hokage, so it wasn't too much of importance. Besides the fact that he is the Rakage's brother, in a point, but like, so now Naruto's already mastered his Sage mode, and this is when the 2 years is over, and Naruto returns to the village with everyone that he's gathered during those 2 years. Besides the times that he came back, but he usually came back alone with his flying Raijin seal. So Naruto returns with with 7 out of, so he returns with 6 out of the 8 other tailed beasts that he created just by giving them some parts of some of his tailed beasts. And they come into the village with him, along with all the Akatsuki members that have, at this point, now completely turned good after being with Naruto for so long and getting some of his Taku no Jutsu done to them. So, and Madara at this point is mad at Obito for leaving, but Obito has managed to get the Rinnegan just because I say so. Since Pain started losing his, just like taking his paths away and try to heal his own body first. So he gave Obito one of his Rennegans. and almost every tailed beast has at least one Rinnegan on with them, so they are all connected, mostly to Naruto, because even Pain's connected to Naruto, but it's only like to a mental link, but not. But the tailed beasts are actually like bonded to Naruto's life force. So I'm getting this idea from my bro Pickpocket anime What Ifs, where he did this what if Kurama was a female with a human form. So and he had it to where Naruto and Kurama's spirits were intertwined together, and so that's what I'm doing here. Naruto's managed to intertwine the tailed beast spirits with the other, with the people that he's made to tailed beast Jinchūrikis to his own, since he has the tailed beast, and they're all bonded to him already. All of the people that he's made tailed beasts are bonded to Naruto too. So yeah, Naruto returns to the village with the Akatsuki and the other tailed beasts besides Gaara and the Mizukage. Well, the former Mizukage. Now Mei is the Mizukage for at this point. And he's just the Four Tails is just guiding her at this point, since they figured Naruto told him that he was under control by someone with the Sharingan, and they believe Naruto. So they agree. He's teaching her everything about being a Mizukage, and then he's gonna come back with Naruto in about a few months. So yeah, once Naruto gets back into the village, he just runs up straight to the Hokage monument and calls for all of his girlfriends to come, which at this point includes Fu. Yeah. So they all come, they all give him kisses, and then they go into his room and they get their work done, they get everything, and they just have a good night. And the next day pops around, and this is when Team 7 has their second bell test thing. But for this, Naruto made sure that Fu joined to Team 7 too. So now that Team 7 I think has 6 members in total. I think so. Now they're just dividing Team 7 up into 2 separate groups, Team 7A and Team 7B. One being Kakashi's Team 7, and then the other being Yamato. So yeah. Yeah. So they're both called Team 7 because Naruto makes sure that they always work together, but he just wanted to make sure that the teams weren't always too big. So it's him, Hinata, and Sasuke, and then the other team being Shikamaru, Ino, and Su. So Sakura just got moved to another team because Sakura is actually going to be on the team with. So Team 7B is going to be a 4-man team with 3 girls and 1 guy. Yeah. So yeah. So now we get to. As now we go to the Mizukage, which is trying to leave the village after about a week of training Mei to know the roles of the Mizukage and do it for good. But when he tries to leave, Mei's trying to make sure that he stays and doesn't leave the village to go make the leaf any more powerful. But he just says, I'm not going to there for the leaf. I'm going there for Naruto. He's granted me power. And the fact that he was only under Obito's control for the fact that he was Kage, and the fact that he didn't have a tailed beast just made sure that Obito didn't really have a reason to kill him. So yeah, so he tries to leave, and then miss this, just making sure that he doesn't, as he just goes into his tail beast form and manages to leave the village. As he gets straight to the leaf, and they let him in since Naruto told him that the fourth Mizukage was gonna be coming to the leaf to be a part of my Jinchūriki crew. As he just said, the fourth Kazekage is staying in the sand. As this is when all of the other villages but the sand and the leaf start making an alliance with each other to get all of the Jinchūriki that Naruto created back to their villages that they came from, to actually put power into their villages. As they're trying to plan a war against the leaf, and the sand doesn't tell you about this, because they've heard it over. But this is when Naruto just says, let them come. They'll see why we're becoming so strong." As the fact is, Madara can now actually try to make the 10 tails, since Naruto's made other Jinchurikis for every tailed beast but the 9 tails. So he's trying to get his plan into order, but because, well, he's not, but so there's not really going to be anything. But I'm just going to say that they did the reanimation to Madara a while back, because they knew Naruto was going to be strong, so they needed as much help as they can get. So yeah, Madara's just trying to figure out how to get all those tailed beasts away from Naruto so he can use them on the ghetto statue, but it's not working good for him. So, but this is when all of the villages finally get together and they're heading towards the leaf. As Naruto, this is when Naruto has just given everyone on Team 7, A and B, the 6 paths Sage Mode, since he could pass that along to anyone who he wants. But he didn't give it to Sakura because he wanted to know exactly what Sakura had done for the last 2 years before giving her anything to boost her power, since he wants to make sure that she deserves a power boost. So as all the other villages get there, the only people waiting out to greet them are Team 7 A and B, along with Jiraiya and Minato. As they say, "Is this all you really think that you're going to need to deal with all of us?" As Naruto just says, "No, we have I have the Jinchurikis of the tailed beasts back behind us." As this is when they would pop out, and B would just say, "Yo, bro, why you doing this? Why you doing this, yo?" And the Kage would just be like, "You left the village, remember? I'm trying to get you back." As he would just say, I'm not going to do it in his voice. He's just going to say, well, technically, "I left because I'm serving Naruto for the moment. Because he's granted me a gift that I can't repay. So I need to stand with him for until death. But he said that I'm allowed to come back after after he trains us to use our powers a little more, and after we learn to control our abilities." This is when A would just say, "I want you home now." As B would just say, "Can't." This is when they would actually start the big giant fight, and Naruto's taking care of almost all the Kages and like hundreds of just other shinobi from all the villages. And by the end of an hour, they've completely dealt with all of the other villages that came to attack. And this is when A would just be like, "How is this, the village? This leaf is too strong." As Naruto would just say, "We're not having any more wars after this. You are gonna sign a treaty stating that there will be peace between all of our villages, and then and only then will you be allowed to get any of your Jinchūrikis back to your villages. But they won't serve you; they serve me and only me." As and that's only if they choose, because I'm making my own village, one for the tailed beasts and anyone that I care about, or they do. So Naruto forces them to sign this treaty, and Naruto puts the world into peace. As now we go over to Madara, being very mad that Obito decided to betray him, and Madara and Black Zetsu are working together to try to get the tailed beasts away from Naruto. As at this point, it's been about a few months since the treaty was signed. So the world has gone straight to peace. There's not any fightings happening, but like there's still shinobi because just to do missions and all of that. But it's not. It's mostly not like against like rogue ninjas or any like trying to maybe some S rank missions. But at this point, this is when they're taking the Jonin exams. They all pass as they would usually, including all of Naruto's Jinchūrikis that he's created. As this is when Madara tries to start taking Jinchūrikis, but before this, Madara took Yamato to make the Zetsu army. As he's managed to get this done, and Naruto has already recovered Yamato after that Madara had been created all of his things because they couldn't find since Yamato. So they get that part done, and this is when Madara claims war against the entire shinobi world. As Madara does this, and all of the Zetsus come, and because at this point Madara has managed to take all of the Jinchūrikis away from Naruto because Naruto let them all go back to their specific villages for like for at least a good 2 months, just to signify that they are allowed to come back. But on their way, they were attacked by Madara and put into the ghetto statue. But Naruto sensed this, and he managed to get there before they all died because Madara put them in the ghetto statue at all the same time. So, like all one after another. But but they were clinging on to life so much that by the time that Naruto got there, they still had just enough life energy left for Naruto to imbue more of each tailed beast into them, as the 15% that they had gotten from Naruto had already replenished with them, so they had all of their energy back. As this Naruto does this again, giving them the same amount. As this is when Madara starts trying to get Naruto's. As this is when right before any of the Jinchūrikis wake up, Naruto is knocked out, and Madara manages to get only 15% of the Nine Tails chakra. Since Naruto wasn't paying attention, he was only paying attention to his Jinchūrikis that he has created. As by the time Naruto wakes up, he manages to break out of the ghetto statue, and he takes his Jinchūrikis and leaves. As this is when the fourth Great Ninja War starts. Everyone's already together, so there's no need for 6 Kage summits, and Naruto's during this time has become the Kage of his own village, which this is going to be the last part anyway. So Naruto has become the Kage of his own village, and he is literally there with Team 7, A and B, his Jinchūrikis, the ex-Akatsuki members, and his closest friends and family, besides his father. So the Uzumaki clan and the Uchiha clan has just moved to Naruto's village, which the Leaf was fine with because they knew Naruto was the Kage of that village. As Madara starts this ninja war with all the Zetsus and things like that, as this is when he manages to use the Geto statue to create the Ten Tails, but Naruto has more chakra than the Ten Tails. As the first thing, the thing that Sasuke does is go straight with Orochimaru after the 2-year time skip, and Sasuke is around the same, way stronger, and even Shikamaru has his own snake summonings and gotten stronger too. As they would go to the Uzumaki place to revive the first and second Hokage once more. As this is when the first Hokage will get to the battlefield and start fighting Madara as he did in canon. As this is when he would eventually lose like he did in canon, but Naruto would hop in and start fighting Madara actually very evenly. And then this is when Naruto would start beating Madara. And they would have a good 2-3 hour fight, but by this time Madara would actually be defeated and killed by Naruto, ending the war right there and then. As Naruto didn't want this war to go on too long, he didn't want any more casualties than there had already been. And as for the Ten Tails, all Naruto did was literally go right up to it and then just use his own chakra and technically find a way, do a move that he had heard of during the 2 years that he was gone, which was turning things into chakra pills and eating and just absorbing them that way. As Naruto managed to do it, learned how to do that, and absorbed the Ten Tails. And once the Ten Tails went in, Naruto went straight into his mindset with all the tailed beasts that he had, and he took all of the hatred out of the Ten Tails, which was hatred was only Kaguya's hatred, as Naruto just threw that part out of himself, reviving Kaguya with Black Zetsu there, and Naruto made his own version of the Ten Tails, which was an actually pure-hearted Ten Tails being. So Kaguya is now alive, and she senses how strong Naruto is, and she's like, "My son?" As Naruto says, "I'm the reincarnation of your grandson, along with I have your Hagoromo inside of me as a guidance to teach me how to do everything." As this is when Hagoromo would actually come outside of Naruto's body, and this is when Hamura would come down from the moon, sensing his mother's energy and his brothers in the same place. He would come down, and they would actually have a family reunion, as they would actually start talking things out and having a conversation about everything. And this is as Kaguya would release Black Zetsu and keep her body, but at this point she's lost all the hatred after talking to her sons about all of the betrayal that they did to her. And Kaguya's actually becoming a more kind-hearted person. And then Naruto, to make sure that this stays, does his own Taka no Jutsu on her, making sure that I'm telling her all of the wrongs that she's done, and she actually hears this. And due to the fact that it's Naruto's Taka no Jutsu, she completely obeys, and Naruto manages to get her into live into his village as an aide and advisor. As the ninja war is over at this point, and I'm not gonna do the last Naruto, the last thing where they go to the moon. I'm just gonna skip over that, as we just skip over straight to Boruto, as Boruto's born with immense chakra levels. As the first thing that Naruto does is create a tail beast specifically for Boruto, using 15% of each tailed beast that he has, making a tailed beast specifically for Boruto. In Boruto becomes the Jinchūriki of the technically 11 tails beast. Well, the not even 11 tails, maybe 8.5 tailed beast. Since it's not stronger than the 9 tails, but it's close, but it's a little stronger than the 8 tails.